In this part of the lesson, we're going to learn about how to pass arguments to parameters of properties and methods. If you don't recognize any of those keywords, don't worry, you'll understand what they all mean by the end of this session. I've already downloaded and extracted the file for this session, so I'm going to double click on it now to open it up. It doesn't contain any code, so I don't need to choose to enable content. All we have is a single cell with some text and some background color formatting. What I'm going to do next is head into the Visual Basic Editor and insert a new module into the project in the standard way. I'm then going to create a new subroutine called Parameters and Arguments, and again it's entirely up to you as to whether you use the underscores to represent spaces or just miss those out altogether. I'll then add a quick simple comment that says passing values to parameters, and at that point we're ready to start writing code to do exactly that. The first thing I'd like to do is apply the copy method to the range A1 object. So let's begin by referring to range A1, followed by a full stop, and then look for the copy method in the IntelliSense. The easiest way to find out if a method or a property has any parameters is to simply type in a space after its name. So if I do that for the copy method, you should see that a little tooltip appears with a list of all of the parameters for this particular method. It's a fairly short list for copy, it just has one single parameter called destination. Some parameter lists are much longer than others, so whereas the copy method only has a single parameter called destination, were I to backspace that statement away and instead let's use the save as method of this workbook object. So if I look for the save as method and apply it to the workbook or this workbook object, when I type in a space, I see a much longer tooltip with many more parameters. So each parameter is separated with a comma. I can see I've got a file name and a file format, etc., etc. I'm not actually going to apply that method right now, I'm just using this for demonstration, so let's backspace that one away. It's also worthwhile knowing that not every parameter is compulsory. So for example, if I look for another method, I'll apply the find method to the cells object. So I'll type in cells.find, and if I type in a space after this, I'll see again a somewhat longer tooltip than the one I saw for the copy method. The first parameter in this example is called what, and you can hopefully see that the what parameter is not listed in square brackets, whereas all of the other parameters have a set of square brackets wrapped around them. If there are no square brackets around a parameter, that means it's compulsory. So I can't use the find method unless I specify a value for the what parameter. Again, this is just for demonstration, so let's remove this line and go back to the original one, which was range A1.copy. Now, in order to make use of a parameter, I need to pass an argument to it. So for this example, let's say that I wanted to copy cell A1 to cell B2. For the destination parameter, I can refer to the range B2 object. So just to spell this out in detail, the range B2 object is the argument that I'm passing to the destination parameter of the copy method that I'm applying to the range A1 object. That all sounds like way more detail than you really need, but when you're first learning the language, it's worthwhile thinking about what each individual component of an instruction is doing and how to reference those things. So understanding that this is an object, this is a method, this is an object that is being used as an argument to be passed to a parameter. So let's just see that this one actually works. If I just restore down or move the VBA editor window away a little bit so that I can see the Excel window, and then run this subroutine just to make sure that what I want to happen actually does. Now you may have noticed that when we looked at the destination parameter for the copy method, it was wrapped in square brackets, which indicates that it's an optional parameter. So if I remove the range B2 reference and type in a space again, you can hopefully see that the destination parameter there is listed in square brackets, so it's optional. So that means that that's not the only way then to copy something from one cell to another. Let's apply the copy method to range A1 and then apply the paste special method to range A3. So I'm going to refer to the range A3 object and then look for the paste special method followed by a space to display a tooltip of parameters. And the important thing about this example is that the first parameter, which again is optional, it's called paste, it allows me to select from a list of options. So some parameters have a specific type that means you can only apply one of the preset options. So for this example, let's say that I just want to paste the values for this cell. I don't want to paste any of the formats, etc. So if I select the Excel paste values option from the list, press tab to have that typed in, and then once again I'll run the subroutine to see if that works. And there we go. So I've copied the contents and the formatting of cell A1, but then only pasted the values into cell A3. So far we've only passed a single argument to each method that we've used, but it's fairly easy to pass multiple arguments to a parameter list. Let's just maximize the VB editor window and pick a new example which is going to apply the printout method to the this workbook object. So I'll refer to this workbook and then look for the printout method. We're not actually going to run this one, or at least I'm not, so you're welcome to test this yourself, but the printout method will send the requested contents, workbook, worksheet, chart, whatever, to the active printer. So what I'm going to do is type in a space after the printout method to see the parameter list, and I can see that I've got several parameters. From, to, and copies are the ones that I'm interested in just for the moment. So if I want to specify which page I want to start printing from, I can type in the number 1 for this. What I can then do is type in a comma to move on to the next parameter, and you might be able to make out in the tooltip that as I type in and remove the comma, the tooltip indicates which parameter I'm currently on. So if I type in a comma, I'm on the 2 parameter. I'm going to print out pages 1 to 2, and then type in another comma and say that, I don't know, let's say I want 5 copies of that particular printout. Now you may have noticed from this list that all of the parameter names are listed in square brackets, indicating that they're optional. So what if I didn't want to specify the from and the to parameters? I just wanted to print out all of the pages, but I did want to specify the number of copies. If I backspace off the 1, 2 and 5 and all the commas, an easy way to skip optional parameters is just to type in the commas without specifying any values. So again, hopefully you can see that as I type in commas, it skips to the next parameter in the list. So if I type in 2 commas, that will lead me to the copies parameter, and I can pass the number 5 as an argument to that parameter, and that will allow me to omit the optional parameters from and to. Skipping optional parameters like this by typing in multiple commas does make the code a little difficult to read, and it's a bit messy as well. There's a slightly better solution, although it does require a little more work and effort on your part. So what I'm going to do is head back to this line and delete all of the commas and arguments, and then after the printout method I'm going to type in a space again to see the tooltip appear. If I simply want to jump straight to the copies parameter, I can do that by writing out the parameter name, so I can type in copies, followed by a colon and an equals operator, and as soon as I do that you can hopefully see that the copies parameter has been highlighted in bold in the tooltip. I can then pass in an argument to that parameter, and if I were then to type in a comma, you might notice that I don't see any other parameters highlighted in bold. If I begin naming parameters, then I need to name all of the subsequent parameters, because you can enter these now in any order you like. So for example, if I typed in from colon equals, you should see that the from parameter is now highlighted in bold, so I can alter the order, skip optional parameters, only provide values to the ones I want. And I think it's a little easier for your end user to read if anybody has to review this code. They can clearly see that this instruction here is passing the value 5 to the copies parameter. The slight downside to naming all of the parameters is that it does make the instruction you're writing quite long. So for example, if I headed back to the start of the printout method and said that I wanted to specify the from parameter equals 1, followed by a comma, then the to parameter equals 2, then another comma, and the copies parameter, it can make this instruction a little more difficult to read. For that reason, you might consider breaking this one long instruction onto multiple different lines. Sadly, the VB editor doesn't support you just entering a line break partway through an instruction. Were I to do this and then click onto another line, you can clearly see that this is not going to work. In order to continue one instruction across multiple lines, what I must do is type in a space followed by an underscore to join the 2 lines together. So you can see now that the syntax error has been cleared. A common approach to doing this is to then indent the line immediately below. And in extreme cases, you might consider putting each individual parameter, or argument I should say, on its own separate line. So I can type in a space and an underscore after each line, and then continue that one single instruction across as many physical lines of code as I like. So now you know a little bit about how to pass arguments to parameters of methods. You could either continue with the extra practice session at the bottom of this page to see some more examples, or alternatively just move on to the next part of this lesson.